Hi all, Rick here with a lore breakdown on a very identifiable and impressive ship featured briefly in Star Trek Picard's third season, the Duderstadt Class. While impressive and featuring during a major plot moment, we don't really get a lot on the vessel itself, so let's take a look behind the scenes and added lore from beyond the shows to flesh it out, beginning with its real origin. The vessel was designed in real life by Bill Krause and Doug Drexler, which in turn was an alteration of Krause's USS Chaparral, a Wasp-class concept. That itself was a modern interpretation of the Hornet class, a non-canon 23rd century era vessel that appeared in other licensed media. The vessel was named for Dorothy Duda, the late wife of Drexler. Now on to its in-universe lore. The Duderstadt class was designated a new class of starship role, the Spearhead. This made it something between an escort and cruiser, and its specialisation was science activities. What defined its role as a spearhead, more than a science vessel, is that it did not feature extensive science facilities like labs. It did have the most advanced sensor systems in the fleet at its launch, however, and its role was to observe and conduct detailed studies, where it could then pass on the information, effectively spearheading scientific endeavours. Of course, these details also made it excellent as an intelligence-gathering craft, so it was quickly assigned to Starfleet intelligence operations. It was 578.5 metres long, which made it around 250 wide and 107.5 tall. Its crew complement was unknown at this time, but it had an additional passenger capacity of 500. The Duderstadt had many sensor systems dedicated to all sorts of interception and scanning forms. Both long-range and close-range systems were present across areas of the hull. However, this ship has additional specialist sensors, increasing its range well beyond the normal long-range scans of other vessels. This is accomplished by the large areas on the secondary hull, with the darker segments being these systems. The deflector array is additionally tied into the long-range scans, the secondary rear deflector just for this purpose. Its position suspended under the hull also helps remove it from interference that may originate from the vessel itself. And again, this is all on top of the sensor systems that are present around the vessel itself, which included an expansive rear array and the planetary sensor dome. Additionally, while it was not built with a cloaking device in mind, it could run one, further adding to its role as an intelligence-gathering starship. Additionally, it had dedicated particle generators to conduct experimentation if needed, like other science ships mentioned, and the same sort of reactive smart shield systems employed by the earlier Intrepid class. On top of this, it managed an equally adaptable and rapid EPS management system that redistributed power at a rapid pace. This energy flow speed was accomplished by an unexpected guest. Each Duderstadt class vessel had a dedicated habitat for a Calamarain. These are the non-corporeal aliens that harassed Q when he was made mortal, and in the years since have established a decent alliance with the United Federation of Planets. As a gaseous creature that can manipulate different energy and radiation types, their unique perspective and abilities allowed them to interface with the Duderstadt systems and aid in the manipulation of its power grid. This is not the only non-corporeal being that this ship can accommodate, however, as the ship was partially created with the goal of providing homes for those species that require non-corporeal life support. As such, other formless allies of Starfleet could find a role and home working aboard a Duderstadt class. With all this advancement, it should be noted that the Duderstadt class was no slouch in combat either. With reinforced armour across the hull, the aforementioned shield system, and plenty of armaments. The same energy alterations that applied to its power systems were applicable to their weapons too, meaning adaptation and intricate firing methods were par for the course. Add this to the advanced sensor analysis systems, and you had a smart scalpel of a vessel that knows just where and how to strike. It had 2 top saucer phaser strips, 2 rear-facing ones, then there was the same again underside for a total of 8 phaser arrays. However, there were none on the underside of the secondary hull. It had 8 forward torpedo or probe launchers, 2 dual banks either side of the deflector, and 4 on the neck. It had 2 rear-facing ones. While it did not launch with them, the design could be upgraded to hold phaser cannons. But I feel like if they did this, then Starfleet would no longer be able to claim it was a science vessel first and foremost, and not their top-of-the-line spy ship. Which it totally was not. Honest, stop looking at it like that. In terms of warp, the core is rated to reach 9.9 at its maximum, standard for the beginning of the 25th century, and like the others it could reach and maintain this high warp factor for quite some time. It shared similar nacelle design to the common model of the era that was created for the Sagan class. However, there's nothing special here, as much of the secondary hull was dedicated to its ridiculous sensor systems, leaving room for only a modest engineering. Now, in terms of impulse engines, it has one small rear output that carries the entire load. When its contemporaries are things like the Sovereign, Inquiry, and Neo-Constitution, then the Intrepid is clearly the least manoeuvrable and speedy at sublight speeds. The plasma exhaust vents are along the pylons. For auxiliary vessels, the Duderstadt had 2 main shuttle bays, both rear-facing. One on the rear of the bridge, which doubled as an engineering staging grounds for the deployment of equipment, and the main shuttle bay under the neck and above the cargo bays. We don't know the shuttle complement. While the Duderstadt might have received its name from Dorothy Duder in real life, in the lore it shares a lot in common with the Intrepid class science cruiser of decades prior. While the Intrepid saw its speeds and exploration potential reflected in the Pathfinder class, like the Voyager B, its smart science systems and rapid computational prowess were succeeded by the Duderstadt. The Intrepid had the most advanced and powerful sensors in Starfleet ships at the time of its launch, and it's the same here. One of their number was even named an Intrepid. This class of starship is ideal for espionage without actually entering enemy territory, as well as less clandestine science surveys, able to ascertain large quantities of data and relay them to the fleet. While potent in combat when it needed to be, that was not its chief role, as clearly it was created for science missions and surveys, nothing more. If it were a person, it would undoubtedly just be a humble tailor. Thanks for watching the breakdown of the science Spearhead vessel, the Duderstadt class. I've been Rick, and until the next one, goodbye.